I'm about to show you how this online side hustle helped me quit my 9-to-5. Just a little over 2 years ago, this video popped up on my YouTube feed, and so I watched it, and it literally changed my life. I will go ahead and link that video down in the description below in case you want to check it out. It really caught my attention, that thumbnail that says they did $759,000 in 7 months. That was probably their revenue number, and their profit was probably more like $220,000 to $250,000. It doesn't matter. Either of those numbers were so big to my mind and how much money I was currently making as a school teacher. Either number just seemed mind-blowing in just 7 months to make that much money. And so I clicked on that video. I listened as this couple explained their adventure of entrepreneurship, how they explained they had been selling on the Etsy platform, printing their own shirts. And then as they explained that Etsy had allowed what is called a print-on-demand company to pair up with the Etsy platform, which meant that you would get an order, it would be automatically sent to a print shop that you connected your Etsy shop with. That print shop would print your designs, then ship your shirts to your customer, leaving you with a fairly passive stream of income and business model since the print shop was doing so much of the work for you. I was hooked. I listened as they continued to explain that designing was easy, that you could simply download software like GoDaddy Studios, which happens to be the one I primarily use, and that you can put some simple text, a simple graphic, place it on a shirt, a little mock-up photo. You didn't have to actually print the product and get it sent to yourself. You place it on top of a picture of a shirt, and then that's what you list in your store. I sprang into action. I got my store open the very next day, and I just started to muddle my way through it, making tons of mistakes along the way, but making progress nonetheless. And within a year and a half, I quit my teaching job. I quit my teaching job to pursue this full time. And I have been able to scale this now so that I am making over double what my teaching job was paying me. If you're listening to this the day that I release it, it's early March. So it has been about 6 to 7 months since I walked away from my teaching job. And as I go into this year of 2023, my goal for 2023 is to not maintain double the amount that I was making as a teacher. It is to quadruple it. That's right. I want to quadruple my teaching salary by selling t-shirts on Etsy. In this video, we're actually going to be covering the February numbers. Each month, I'll be putting out a video that lets you know if I am on target for that goal of $200,000. As a teacher, I made $51,000 a year. My second full year on Etsy, I made over $100,000. And this third year, calendar year that I've been on Etsy, by December of this third year, I want to make $200,000. And if you're anything like me, whether you are thinking about opening an Etsy store or you have already opened your Etsy store and you've got your first 100 sales or your first 1,000 sales or 10,000 sales, you're curious about what does this look like over time, the continued growth. And it keeps blowing my mind just how much we can grow these shops with the same amount of work. It seems like a lot the first year, but then you could do the same amount of work every year thereafter and get exponentially larger results. It's incredible. I'm about to throw the numbers on the screen. We're going to look at my very first February, which would have been my 5th month on Etsy, my second February last year, and this February. And we're going to see that growth over those 2 years. Your mind is going to be blown. You're going to want to open your Etsy shop if you haven't already done it tomorrow. Since I am going to be doing a video like this each month, if you do want to follow this journey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can keep up to date with how it's going. All right, here we are with 2021. That month, I had 47 orders. Again, that was my 5th month. So this is a slow start, but once that train pulls out of the station, it just starts chugging along if you're doing the right things. See, I had 47 orders, and that revenue was $1,280. That's not profit. I'll show you the profit in just a second. 2022, so 1 year later, I had 273 orders in just the month of February. And that led me to a revenue of $11,200. 1 year later, this past February, gone are the days of a February where you get 273 orders, because this February was 619 orders. Cue the music right now, because this is so exciting to me. And that means revenue was $32,200. What a crazy jump from year to year. And what does that lead us to think next year is going to be? And the numbers that we're probably more interested in is, what does that look like for profit? In 2021, my record keeping wasn't as good at the time, but it was right around $200, maybe a few dollars less. My profit for February 2022 was $3,150, which I was ecstatic about last year. But my profit for this February is $6,434. So let's take a look at how that stacks up for the entire year. In January, which I will link down in the description, the video I did on the January results, but the profit was $6,704.11. So February was $6,434.78. Quick side note, you might notice there that in February I made just a little bit less than I did in January. So when I compare this to how I did last year, I did make just a little bit more in February than I did in January, but only by a tiny smidge. And here we have a very small difference. This time February is a bit lower, and January is a bit higher. Either way, I feel like they're both pretty close, so I'm not too concerned about February dropping just a little bit. Plus, you got to keep in mind also, January was 31 days and February was only 28. So that gave me fewer days to, beat those January numbers, because I always am trying to beat the numbers from the month prior. So when you do a little math here, you'll see that I still have, if I want to make $200,000 for the year, I am 2 months down, and I've made $13,138.89 so far. So when I subtract that from 200,000, we see that I still have $186,861 to go. And when we divide that by the 10 months that we have left, we find that I need to make an average of almost $19,000 a month from here on out. And you might be thinking, Shawna, case closed. It's a big fat fail. You're not going to be able to do it. But, contraire, mon frère, I think I can. And the reason I think I can is because if you do everything the way you're supposed to, and you're listening to all the videos with all the strategies, which is what I did, and the types of videos that I'm putting on my channel are the things that I did to make this happen. You should be able to make over again what you did all year just in Q4, which is October, November, December, when everyone's doing their Christmas shopping. And that rang true my first year, that rang true last year, and that hopefully will ring true this year. Also, if I look at 2021 and 2022, January and February, my smallest months. And as the year progresses, it stacks, like it just gets more and more. So here I'm throwing up all of my 2022 numbers, so you could see month by month what my profit was each and every month. And you'll see at the bottom, the total is $110,031.13. If you've listened to all of the videos on my channel, you might have heard me say before that last year was $107,000. I've never actually added the numbers up month by month. There's another way that I got my totals for the entire year. I don't know why it's coming off by $3,000, but either way, either of those numbers, I'm happy with that profit. And I'll point out two things here. One, I have doubled. My January to February number is more than double. And then my February number in 2022 to 2023 is indeed also doubled. So if I want to double my income for this year and give myself a huge raise, then it looks like I'm on target by looking at that info. Also, look there at the bottom 4 months. Those bottom 4 months are the heavy lifters of the year. And that comes to around $70,000 that I made in September, profit, $70,000 profit that I made in September, October, November, and December, leaving all the rest of the months to be only about $40,000 of the profit. So I'm expecting the same type of pattern this year if I do the same strategies, which I am. At this point, I really hope you are feeling so motivated and so excited. These are always the kinds of numbers I'm most interested in hearing the people that I learn from. I'm always interested in them sharing numbers like this because it lets me know what's possible. And that is what has driven me from the very beginning. Those first months that I was not making any sales, but I was dumping all of the time and work for those months into this, looking at what was possible was what kept me motivated. It kept the gas in my engine and kept me moving. So I really hope that's what this is doing for you. This is possible and you can do this. Next time I put this together, if you'd be interested, and I almost did it this time, if you'd be interested in me going through the first year and just putting how many listings I had month by month, so you have like an idea or a target number of what it really took for me to get things going to that amount of sales, just let me know. Head down to the comments and let me know. I am going to address real quick what part of this came from ads. If you are interested more in ads, I'll also link that video down below. I did a really thorough video of exactly what I'm doing with ads. However, if you're afraid of ads or you're afraid of losing a little money, I only started playing with ads about 6 months ago. So you do not have to feel overwhelmed or stressed about adding more money, or losing money or figuring something else out. So with my ads, I started with a much lower number, but I slowly started increasing, and I am now at $150 a day, 728 listings. So I have an entire niche that I'm heavily into, well, 2 niches actually, that are on ads, and any of my new things, I put them on ads as I release them. So I spent a total of $2,755.63 on ads. My revenue from the ads was $14,159.77. On average, I get to keep about 28% of my revenue as my profit. So when I multiply the revenue times the profit, I get $3,964. And then when I subtract my spend out of that, I wind up with $1,209 that I still get to keep as my profit. So my ads are profitable, and they actually have been making me a little over $1,000 each month. A really big part of achieving this goal is to make sure that I am consistent and that I am making smaller goals that are actionable, things that I can do. I can't just magically make my shop make $200,000. I have no control over that. But I have control over the actions that need to happen, which is to list items. I have control over those actions to lead me to that monetary goal. So my goal is to have 2,000 new listings in my shop this year. Don't feel overwhelmed by that number. My original goal when I first started my shop was to have 1,000 listings over the course of a year, and then I divided that amongst the amount of weeks, and that was the number I had in my mind when I first got started. So for me, I had 175 listings that I was supposed to get done in February. I came out 11 listings short. So I am finishing those 11 listings up these first couple days of March, and then making a new 175 goal for my month of March. We'll see if I'm able to achieve that. So each month I kind of reassess that. These goals are really important. That consistent behavior is really important because it's kind of like pushing this big boulder up a hill. It's so hard. And then if you almost get to the top and then you take a break and you're like, well, I just need a few weeks to not list, and you walk away from that boulder, it just starts rolling back down and you got to start again. And that analogy is really, really perfect because when you go back to start listing again and to continue the momentum in your shop, that boulder, it's not in the same spot. The momentum is not in the same spot. It's just not. It is like, maybe not like starting over completely, but it is you took many steps back. So when you really get serious about making moves in your shop and making something happen, you really have to go into it with a strong mind of, I'm going to keep doing this even though I'm not seeing the return quite yet. I know that it's going to happen, and so I'm going to keep doing these actions that I know will lead to this result that I'm trying to get to. I hope you found value from this video. I hope you're feeling motivated. And if you're still here, I count myself lucky. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. I'm sure you're waiting for Tucker, but before I let him take it away, I want to leave you with this quote that I came across this week that I thought was really good. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. I think that's really well said. Do not doubt yourself. Do not be afraid to fail. Just go for it. And Tucker, take it away.